Bleach Rebirth of Souls here continues to surprise fans around the world with its final character here, that being, of course, Yhwach, the king of the Quincy's, and all his incredible splendor here on full display. That being from the Thousand Year Blood War arc of the new anime series for Bleach. Yhwach now has seemingly rounded out the roster here in terms of its final DLC character for the initial first season here of Rebirth of Souls. So with all that being said, what could possibly be coming next then for the game? And is this in fact the end though for all sorts of DLC for Rebirth of Souls? Or is in fact Bandai Namco pulling our legs here, so to speak, and setting us up for something perhaps even mightier here than the mighty Yhwach himself? Now, seeing his moves here on full, action here are incredible to behold. I, for one, cannot wait to get my hands on this character once I get around to it here after, of course, holiday shopping. Given this time of year and all, it's just one of those things I'm going to have to add to my wish list here on Steam. Now, barring that in mind, if you guys want to see more Bleach Rebirth of Souls, or even just other anime games in general here from me on the channel, let me know down below what you want to see me cover next here. Whether that's more Rebirth of Souls content, which I did in fact do an earlier prediction video of sorts, a sort of roundtable discussion type video many months back. So that video will be linked in the top somewhere here for you guys to click on and check out, as I go over a lot of other characters in that video that I would love to have here included in the roster for Rebirth of Souls. Since so much time has passed with this game, my thoughts have of course changed on that, and that's what we'll be talking about here today and now. Going with my number one character here, that being of course the Hollow Ichigo, aka White Zangetsu himself in the game. I want Hollow Ichigo here, the original White Zangetsu, with his own Shikai form and Bankai forms fully playable in Rebirth of Souls. Now I know we do sort of have him in this game in the form of Ichigo's reverse action, that being the Hollow Mask transformation, which is more akin, I'd say, to a power-up if I'm being honest with you all. And he does have voice lines and all that sort of stuff, respectively, of course. And even has his own little unique win victory animation. But that really, for me, isn't going to cut it. I want him as his own fully playable, separate character from Ichigo, with his own unique moveset and Keycon moves and all that stuff. And of course, his awakening being the Tensa Zangetsu variant, which is of course his own little spin on it, you could say. So yeah, my first character here that I would love to see added as DLC, whether it's free as an update or paid, I don't care either way. I will gladly give and shell out money here to Bandai Namco for the original OG Hollow Ichigo. I just want to be able to swing Zangetsu around here and fly across the battlefield at lightning speeds with everyone's favorite laughing, maniacal, hollow version here of Ichigo. So then, I'd say otherwise from the earlier sections of Bleach, I would have to honestly go with either Yachiru from Squad 11 and just have her be ridiculously overpowered with her abilities and whatnot, since she would be one of the more smaller characters on the roster here, probably in fact the smallest of the small. Just as a real one-off character here that, while seemingly not impressive at first, once her gameplay is revealed, perhaps could have her be one of, if not the stronger characters, not on the roster, but just in general, with her attacks maybe doing a lot of damage if you happen to connect the moves in a certain time frame and everything like that. Since she was only playable in, I think, one or two earlier Bleach games back in the day. That leads me to my second pick here, that being Nemu Koretsuchi, Mayuri Koretsuchi's daughter. Now, I'll be talking a little bit more about Nemu later on in the video here, so be sure to stick around if you want to hear my thoughts on what exactly I'd have planned for Nemu. So then as we move along then from the original earlier parts of Bleach here, we're going to go ahead and jump a little bit in terms of story and arcs here, and move on to the middle parts of Bleach. So that being mainly the Arrancar invasion arc. After then, the Soul Society arc and Aizen and everything like that gets underway, and we find our characters then in, well, Hueco Mundo. So for me here, guys, I just gotta come right out and say it. I want more Espada to be playable in this game. You know, it's a real shame when we have characters here like Grimjow, Ukiura, Haribel, even Kai and Shiba playable here, but we don't have, say, Zamari, for one, with his Resurrection, Barrigan with his Grim Reaper-esque appearance for his Resurrection. I mean, come on, we have Stark for crying out loud, but we don't have Barrigan or Zamari? Even Yami, for that matter? Now, granted, his Resurrection is incredibly massive in scale and size, and I have honestly no idea how they would incorporate his transformation into this game. But then again, we also have other giant characters already with Bankai, such as Mayuri Kuetsuchi's Kojiki Ashishogi Jizo and Sajin Kumamoto's Mokujo Tengen Yo. So I don't think it's in the realm of impossibility here that a giant character such as Yami's Resurrection could not be coded or programmed somehow to successfully work here with the gameplay and all the other character models interacting with each other here in tandem. I can imagine that it's probably not all that hard for the development team here to hopefully cook something up. So I would love to have, like I said, Yami then with his Resurrection, Zamari with his, and then also Barrigan. Mainly Barrigan, if I'm being honest. I really like his design overall in both his regular and Resurrection forms. So yeah, those three Espada should not have been omitted here from the roster, in my humble opinion. I really feel like all of them should be playable because, I mean, also you have Psyloppa Legrand here, Noitora, of course, even Nell on this roster for the game. So having those three just completely absent, like I said, in my opinion, is kind of no excuse and should be a given here. Seeing as how much of a, you know, big deal this game was, you know, all these months ago when it was launched. And even before launch date, I remember all the hype and the trailers. Every single time one of those trailers would drop, everyone would almost freak out and be like, oh my gosh, who's going to be predicted next? It could be anybody. But no. So, yeah, I really want those three Espada. I want all the Espada to be playable. Not the lower ones. I don't really care about those ones. Just the main three here that I discussed earlier. I want them to be playable in this game. They have a right to be playable, and they honestly just deserve to be playable. Now then, as we go back here and talk about Nemu from earlier on in the video here, a experiment of many different elements here from the Bleach world, and her being basically almost like an android, I'd say, from Dragon Ball is the best way I can describe Nemu here. So Nemu, I feel gameplay-wise and moveset-wise here, deserves to have her own, definitely some form of keto, you know, like energy here or spiritual pressure that she could utilize and maybe use as projectiles here in combat. But then to really mix things up, give her not so much an awakened form, like a transformation here, but maybe have her release her dormant power here and get a speed boost, an attack boost, a defense boost, just an all-around amp on all of her stats here and make her maybe have some kind of time limit where if you unleash all of her moves, you know, like all of her powers here at one time, maybe a small timer would appear somewhere on the screen and it could maybe have her lose health with the more levels, you could say. Maybe there could be multiple levels here or tiers. And then as you level up Nemu here over the course of the battle, maybe then once you level her up to the maximum amount, maybe her health could start decreasing then slowly, or she could take a little bit more damage then as a result of using up so much of her latent powers here and abilities. I'd say similarly to how she did when fighting against Pernita in the Thousand Year Blood War arc. Sort of like that, I'd say, would be the best example here with what I would love to have for Nemu, because I feel like she deserves to be playable here along with the other characters that I listed previously. We're not done quite yet, though. Oh no, the fun's just beginning, you see. So I have a few more picks than honestly really honorable mentions, but hey, I can dream, can I? With these final next few, they're going to be really off the wall and incredibly not so much unpopular, but underrated, at least in my humble opinion here. So, yeah, I hope though that you guys have enjoyed so far these couple picks here from the earlier parts of Bleach overall, and of course the Thousand Year Blood War. As we now go, well, in a very slightly different direction. Moving from the Hueco Mundo arc, we're going to go into a little bit more of a gray area here, a little bit more of uncharted territory, you could say. So, what am I getting at exactly? Well, I'll get right to the point here. I want to see in this game, now this might be a little bit of a stretch, not really filler characters playable, but in fact, Bleach movie characters. Yes, that's right, guys. You heard that correctly. Your boy wants movie characters in this game, of all things, for Rebirth of Souls. So who exactly would I want then to make the cut for this DLC if I had it my way and could just wish into existence here any characters from the Bleach movie timeline, you could say, that I want? Well, for starters, I want Senna from the first Bleach movie, Memories of Nobody. I would love to have her playable in this game with all of her abilities and powers to be finally used in a game. Then we go to Bleach Movie 2, The Diamond Dust Rebellion, and it was the main antagonist of that film who had a seemingly identical Bankai to Toshiro Hitsugaya's, with his Hurimaru dragon-like Zanpakuto. So I would also love to have that guy from the Diamond Dust Rebellion in this as well. As we move on then to Bleach Movie 3, Fade to Black. Now, Fade to Black is an odd one for sure, probably the oddest of all the Bleach movies in my opinion. But from that movie, we got a interesting version of Rukia, an evil version, you could say, known as Dark Rukia, who has only been in one or two games over the years here for Bleach. So, of course, we got to have another version of Rukia here. So, yeah, that would be Dark Rukia from Fade to Black. As we then go and transition to Bleach Movie 4, The Hellverse. So, now with Hellverse, I would love to have Ichigo's Skull Bankai form that debuted only once in that movie. But yeah, he also has a sort of powered up form with his bandages taken off, and he gets a huge boost in spiritual pressure and powers up. So then, yeah, I would also love to have those two characters included as other future additions here. If we had a sort of combo movie pack here featuring characters from across the Bleach movie timeline, like I just said. So yeah, guys, I'd say that on that note, that wraps up my thoughts here regarding who I'd love to hopefully possibly see next year for the future of Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Let me know what you all think down below, and let's get a discussion going here. Now that we finally have Yhwach from the Thousand Year Blood War, some other Stern Raiders could probably, maybe, hopefully make an appearance here in future DLC packs. I mean, who knows? I guess the sky is seemingly the limit here. So, like I said, that does it for me for now. But I'll be sure to catch you guys all next time on the flip side.